Listen to part of a talk in an environmental studies class.
Continuing our discussion of alternative sources of energy, I'd like today to talk about wind power. To generate electricity from wind, turbines are required. These are large machines with blades that turn when the wind pushes against them. This motion is converted into energy in the form of electricity. There are definitely many positives associated with wind power, and in many ways, it's a promising alternative to traditional methods of generating electricity to power our homes and offices. For one thing, wind is a renewable energy source and does not use fossil fuels, as is the case when burning oil or coal to produce electricity. As well, wind does not produce any greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide, which have been linked to climate change. Despite these positives, there is an unintended downside to wind turbines. They appear to kill birds. Because the turbine blades are high in the air, where there is more wind to turn them, they can be in the path of flying birds. If the birds don't see the turning blades, they may fly into them and be struck. There is considerable debate about how many birds are killed by turbines in the United States annually, and estimates vary from as low as 10,000 to as high as 500,000. The real figure is undoubtedly somewhere between those two extremes. Whatever the actual figures, it's a problem that people are trying to solve. One potential solution is through better design of the wind turbines. Early turbines had lattice blades that attracted birds and resulted in many deaths. Modern wind turbine design appears to be less dangerous. Today, there is a monopole design with 3 solid spinning blades. While still hazardous for birds that fly into the blades, this design has the advantage of not attracting them. Other designs do away with the rotating blades entirely. The windstalk is one such design that is less dangerous to birds. This device has no blades. Energy is generated by more than 1,000 narrow, 50-meter tall poles packed tightly together. Within each hollow carbon fiber pole is a stack of small ceramic discs, and between the discs are electrodes. These discs and electrodes are connected to a cable running up the pole. When wind causes the stalks to sway, the discs compress, generating a current. Since the stalks gently sway in the wind rather than rotating very quickly, birds are more likely to see them, and it's considered unlikely that they will collide with them. Planners of wind turbine projects are also working to reduce the risk of bird deaths. When the first wind turbines were built in California more than 20 years ago, they were simply placed in windy locations. Unfortunately, this also turned out to be a migratory bird route. Now, legislation has been put into effect that prevents wind turbines from being constructed on migratory paths. As well, there is a growing trend to build wind farms offshore, in oceans or major lakes. Offshore winds are typically stronger, allowing more electricity to be generated. There are fewer birds near these water-based turbines, and therefore fewer deaths result. Some operators are turning to technology to protect bird populations. At one facility in Texas, radar is used to detect flocks of birds. If a large group of birds approaches the wind farm, the turbines shut down and are only restarted once the birds have passed. The impact of wind turbines on bird populations indicates how complex problems can be. When researchers are looking for sources of energy that will minimize environmental damage, they need to consider the entire ecosystem.
Question 23. What is the talk mainly about? Question 24. According to the professor, how many birds do wind turbines kill each year in the USA? Question 25. What does the professor say about early designs of wind turbines? Question 26. What point does the professor make about the windstock design? Question 27. What are people legally required to take into account when planning a wind turbine project? Question 28. Why does the professor mention a facility in Texas? Listen to part of a lecture in a history class.
The 19th century was a time of many important events in the history of the United States. One of the most pivotal, which occurred near the start of the century in 1803, was the Louisiana Purchase, the name given to the